Hey everybody, this is Kurt, and just want to welcome you into the Love in America channel. And today I've got David Keener with me, and we're going to be talking about his participation in the song "Colorful Place." And before we do all that, I would appreciate it if you guys just subscribe to the channel if you're finding value here in what we're doing. If not, just check us out for a while. We're going to be putting out a lot of content talking about how we're helping people who are doing the love in America and also helping people who are receiving the love in America. So we just want to do our best to be a part of what everybody's doing out there, to care for people in America, to work on problems. Our big thing is that everybody has value and therefore everybody uh, should be loved. And I know that's difficult. It's not easy. Anybody that says love is easy, get married, have kids. And then you look at your own family. There's people in your family that are struggling with various issues. You got people maybe dealing with illnesses or addictions or, oh man, just all kinds of things. And then there's a lot of people just, skating under the radar in this world. Trafficking, is one of the biggest things in the world that's just plaguing us right now. It's just, I think I heard the other day, it's a $150 billion industry. I think that's correct with a B. So there's people struggling with that, and there's all kinds of things out there. And so what we're doing, obviously, is highlighting how people are affecting those issues in America, telling their stories, and trying to get people to help them, get involved with them, and grow more in our cities as far as those people that are doing the work. So with all that being said, thank you for coming today. And so David, great to have you. I'm so glad you're here, and it's a privilege to have you singing on the song. Just a bit quick background. So David and I went to church together for a while, and that's how I met him. He's a worship leader, very gifted musician, and I really was blessed to be a part of what he was doing at the church that we were at. He was a leader there, and I would play guitar on the team and would enjoy doing that. And so that's how we met. And one day I was telling him about this song I'm doing called Colorful Place, and I hadn't even thought about asking him, and it just popped in my mind. Hey, you want to sing on a song about, just the beauty of America and all the people that are from all over the place that move here? And he was like, sure, man, I'll sing on that. And so he came over and we recorded some vocals. He knocked it out of the park. And later on, we did a music video, which he was gracious enough to come in and do that. And so that's how he got involved. So, David, with that being said, tell us a quick bit about yourself and who you are.
Awesome. Thanks so much again for having me on, Kurt, and for having me be a part of the project, especially on the song. Yeah, so like Kurt was saying, I'm a worship leader, songwriter, musician. I was the fun part about getting involved with the song was the fact that I was actually born in Africa. I was born in the Republic of the Congo. Moved here when I was 4, and by here I mean to Pennsylvania. Grew up there, and then I went to high school and college in Kentucky until post college. I moved down to Tennessee, and that's where I ended up meeting Kurt. But so just my story is just a little bit of just, always have loved music, always have loved just creating things and really wanting to create things that affect people positively. And so that was one thing that really I found very exciting about this song was just the message that it's spreading, because it's like Kurt was saying, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we could always use more just encouragement and love. And so I really enjoyed being able to be a part of that. But currently, right now, I'm back in Kentucky, still trying to create music on my own whenever I get the opportunity to. And so just really enjoying this time of life for myself. My wife and I, we have 2 kids. One is almost 3, one just turned 1. So it's a busy time of life, but it's a very kind of just exciting and fruitful time in our family right now.
Awesome. So, all right. So, one of the things that excites me is just this is just my life and how God shaped me. But I grew up in a little small town in Illinois, pretty monoculture. Really didn't know anybody outside of my own culture, if you will, and if you want to go that far, skin color. But you know, I moved to Los Angeles to go to music school. I had a dream one morning and I woke up and I told my mom, I said, wow, I had a dream I was going back to music school. And I said, I'm not going back to music school. We're in a band that's successful in Chicago. We're doing great. There's no way. And I had another dream that I was, praying and holding hands in a big black church in South Central Los Angeles. I didn't know it was Los Angeles at the time, but I told my mom, gosh, I had this dream last night. That was the weirdest thing ever. I've never been in a church like that before. Well, lo and behold, 6 months later, I do go to music school in California. And one of the parts of the dream was that I was going to go to one music school, not like it, and then go to another one. And that I went to Milwaukee, and I didn't like Milwaukee, but I did like LA. So Hollywood, Milwaukee, which one are you going to pick? So I picked
Right.
Hollywood. And yeah, and then I went out there, and I didn't really go to church or anything at the time. Was just doing the whole hard rock and roll kind of scene, and hanging out at the Sunset and all those different things down there in LA, and going to MI Musicians Institute. And I ended up at this big, massive church that it's a big black church. There's only a few of us there that were black. We were just and of course, for me, it was amazing because it was totally different culture. It wasn't what I knew church to
Mm,
be. First time I
yeah.
went, I'm like, man, a bomb went off in this place. I was like, what is going on here? I grew up, very much more. When we did go to church, it was very reserved and not very emotional. But that was a totally different story. But that got me started on this whole idea of the Colorful Place song, because not only did I do that, but I lived in East LA with a Mexican family. It's a guy that I used to travel all around the world, doing things with for like mission stuff, and he took me to Spain. We worked with gypsies over there. I was younger, single, thought I wanted to stay and marry a gypsy girl because there was it's just amazing. So we spent two months traveling all over that part of the world, Spain, and just man, amazing to hear their music and their culture.
Mm,
We went to Mexico. I lived in East LA with him. Big Mexican capital there, and he had 10 brothers and sisters, and all the food and all that stuff. And then I worked for Koreans, and I had
wow.
a roommate that was Japanese, and worked for a guy from India. So God just said, okay, man, you're going to get to know all these people. And that led me into traveling to all kinds of different countries and meeting all people. One thing I learned when I went to all these places, everybody's smart. You know what I mean? Everybody's
Mm,
beautiful. Everybody's amazing. And I come
yeah.
back to America going, what are we doing, man? How did we get here in our past and all these other things? And I know we're not the only country that's plagued with issues among people from different ethnicities and all that stuff. And it's a lot of times it has nothing to do with your ethnicities. I mean, you go to China and Chinese killing Chinese. You go to Russia, they're killing Russians.
Mm,
They're killing Russians, and it's always all mixed up and everything. And unfortunately, we get these labels and these things that get put on us, and then they hinder us, and we don't love one another and just treat each other as humans. But then at the same time, we don't, but we still like the differences, that we each have. We may not even necessarily like each other, but we love the differences. I mean, America's a perfect thing. I mean, heck, we jazz coming out of the black community in the early 1900s, but everybody loved that, right? Okay, but you still
right.
had problems in the South. People couldn't do things and like other people could, and oppression and all this stuff. But we love the music, right? Okay, and then that's just one example. But when you look at things like the foods, we get to eat Italian and we get to eat, gosh, Irish and I don't know, all the foods, Chinese, and I love Thai food. I love Indian food. I love all these things, but we get all the benefit of that. And those things are just a picture of how all cultures bring things to us that are unique and different.
Mm,
Now we're all human, and none of us fill out a card in our mother's womb saying, "Hey, I want to be this ethnicity. I want to be born here." No, we just show up. So,
sure.
so there's a beauty in the cultures that we have, but we're also just people, and that's who we are. So I fell in love with people from all kinds of places. So that's the origin of this song, and that's how this song got started. Was me seeing all those people, and then being amongst all of them here in America, and just going, man, it's made my life so rich. And so
Mm,
that's really where this song came from. And so I also started thinking about the freedoms we have in America. That we do have the ability for free speech. We do have the ability for religion, freedom of religion. We do have the ability to pretty much do what we want to do, say what we want to do. We're not oppressed. We're not living somewhere where we've got
mm,
total censorship and all those things. So I really wanted to highlight those things. We can dream in this country. We can try to be all that we can be. and nobody's stopping us. It's just the hard work. Now, life is hard. It's hard for everybody. It doesn't matter where you come from, what walk of life. It's just going to be hard, and you have to work hard. But you can get there if you persevere. And so the point is, that's what the whole song is about, and it's that kind of idea. So you know, I was just grateful that you wanted to be a part of it. And each one of these songs that I do, I'm looking for people that can come in and be a part of it, add something to the mix. So, all that being said, I'd love to hear your story about your family. So, you guys ended up here, and you said you were 4 years old. What made you end up here? How did that start?
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, my mom married my stepdad, and that is how we were able to come over to America. On that, it was first a fiance visa, but then they ended up getting married, and they had had a friendship long before even I was born. So I was born. My mom initially married someone in Africa,
Okay.
and that relationship did not work out. Um, and so. But she had been friends with my stepdad for many, many years prior because she had come to America as an exchange student. So they had already connected. They were good friends, would write letters back and
Wow.
forth. Their whole story is something that's amazing and just so beautiful in and of itself. But essentially, that's how we came to America was because my mom ended up getting married. And so it's kind of cool hearing that perspective of what you're sharing about kind of being through to all these different places and stuff. And for me, growing up, yeah, I mean, it's I feel I am African, but I consider myself American because I've been here so long, you know. I mean,
Yeah, of
at
course.
4 years old, you're not, I mean, you're just kind of in that foundational kind of time. And so for me, it was, once I learned English and stuff, I pretty much was just growing up like any other kid. But it was quite an interesting experience, I think, culturally because my stepdad is white. He was born in America, and so it's cool already in my own home just having that kind of multicultural aspect where my mom kind of approaches things a certain way because she's African, and my dad will approach things a different way because he's American.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so already having that kind of dichotomy in the household was quite fun to experience. And then being in school, so in Pennsylvania is where I went to elementary and middle school, was very interesting as well because you see that there's kind of like what you were saying, where people will find reasons to um, I don't know, discriminate, put other people down regardless of it doesn't have to be just confined to race, you're
Yeah,
talking
right,
about.
right.
And even where my mom and I came from, there was civil war going on in the Congo between Africans on Africans. And so it was very interesting for me growing up being kind of exposed to American culture and kind of learning about all of that history and the tension there between different races as well,
Hmm.
and finding myself in situations in elementary school where I'm in situations where the black kids don't really want to hang out with me because I'm too white, and then the white kids don't want to hang out with me because I'm black, and I'm like, guys, I'm just African. I don't know what's
I don't
in
know
the
what
area
this
that
is.
yeah, in the area that I grew up in. I later found out when I came down to Kentucky, where we live currently, there's a really big African population here, and I finally understood that the phrase being the whitest black guy is just being African. That's just all it is. No, but I think that even from an early age, that kind of taught me a little bit just in terms of I feel like a lot of times in America we're very quick um, to kind of just point to these big historical issues or these big racial issues. And I think it goes so much deeper where it's actually more just about a heart issue, where it's about a lack of love, a lack of respect, regardless of, what people look like. I think people, if they just want to, people will just be mean to be mean. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of framed a lot of how I kind of have gone through life in viewing um, tension between African Americans and white people and all that kind of stuff, where I'm always much more cautious in approaching discussions like that and being like, well, instead of, because I feel like there's so many times where discussions like that just kind of devolve into just yelling and accusing people of stuff. And I think that both sides, or any sides in any conflict, I think there's always a deeper issue of actually just how are we as humans treating other humans? Like, are we respecting each other? Are we loving each other right? And that kind of thing. And so, again, that was something that I really appreciated about kind of this whole project that you've been working on, Kurt, is just that I think that is, you know, the quote unquote cure. Obviously there's always going to be, you know, people that just are mean, that don't like other people and find reasons to discriminate. But even just saying that, well, we need to, if only like this person could just accept these people, it's more of a matter of how are we loving each other? How are we, and I know for us as Christians, it's like that's the big way that we can affect change is by just loving people well first and foremost, and just kind of allowing that to hopefully bring healing, because I understand there's lots of deep wounds. And that was an interesting aspect too, kind of growing up, was kind of almost being on the outside a little bit of
Hmm.
those situations. Because I don't have I guess technically my mom would be first generation, but I mean I'm a first generation immigrant over to America, so it's like, I mean, my grandparents and my great grandparents weren't, in segregation situations or
Yeah,
slavery
right, right.
situations like,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
of my peers would be.
yeah,
And so I
absolutely.
understand that, like, that is something that isn't just overlooked, that people can
No.
just kind of let go of, because you have years and generations of hurt. Um, but like I was saying too, also being on the outside of it, I can look at those situations and see, you know, we have, we might have peers that are looking at the situation and being like, well, I didn't do anything, like I'm trying to like
Hmm.
love you well as well. So I think there's just being in my situation, I think has given me a really unique perspective on kind of just specifically, I guess, race relations, but even just in general, of just kind of how the goal should be just trying to love people, because that's the best way to try to heal some of these wounds for sure.
Yeah, I'd totally agree with you. And I think one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is because I've been thinking about this song and recording songs, these type of talks about it, and is that again, none of us has an order form in the womb, filling it out. God, I want to be this color, I want to be here, I want to be born into this family, all that kind of stuff. And a couple things I've always noticed is that if you look at the people that hurt you most, it's probably people of your own ethnicity. That's probably because you're the closest
Yeah.
to them, and that's just because we're all broken people. We and depending on the generation you're from too. So if you look at America, the people that like my dad grew up under World War II ish parents ish type era,
Mm,
and those guys were hard, because they went through a war and many of them went off to
yeah.
fight, and they were just hard, and they didn't believe in taking it easy on you, and
Right.
they so then my dad came up and was parenting me. He didn't believe in taking it easy on me, so he put it down hard. But as a kid, you're thinking, well, that I don't really like that. That's hurting me. I might get bitter against a parent, and but that parent is the same ethnicity as you, and so there might be people that I went to school with, and I didn't like this person, and that person is most likely the ethnicity. For me,
Right.
other people and other ethnicities, I never really get hurt by them. I enjoy them, So for me, going to right now, I go to a Spanish speaking church, and
Mm,
predominantly everybody there is Spanish, so for me, I enjoy those other things, and it was harder for me to kind of go back into maybe an all Caucasian church or something, because I had to kind of go, okay, I feel less comfortable here than I do anywhere else. You know what I mean?
mm,
So because of just different things of growing up and all that kind of stuff. So that's just how. But I say that's one thought I've been thinking about. The other thought I'm thinking about in all of this is that we as people can, I guess, if you will, prejudge and allow the prejudging to cloud what is happening now. And
mm.
I'm very careful in this, because one of the observations I've made is that as Americans, and this is something that everybody really needs to think about, is that you can't change your history. So if
Right.
I'm going to look at my history, I'm going to say, well, okay, I can look back and I could say when I was 14, we were in Illinois, by Chicago area, Plainfield. For anybody watching this from Plainfield, shout out. But when I was 14, we did a genealogy thing for school, and so my parents were kind enough to take it upon themselves to do it with me. And so we went to Tennessee, where I'm living now, and about real close to here, there's a place called Coble, Tennessee. My last name is Coble, and that some Cobles came there in the 1820s or something, right? And they were potters. And so it's actually a little place there too where they had the Coble Opry. It's just a small little grocery store, and they would go sing there. And then prior to that, they came in from Germany, and we were some kind of dukes or something over there from Koblenz. So everybody who has this Coble, there's Koblinskis and there's Koblentzes all over the place. Somehow we got kicked out because we did something or there was an argument over land or something, but we didn't have apparently much when we came here, but we did come here. And then on my mom's side, they were from Wales, I believe, and they came here in the early, mid 1700s or something, and they were one of the first, people that came in, and they came from North Carolina into what's now Arkansas, and then they went on down to Texas. Or I think my dad's down in Texas, but my mom's family went to Arkansas, and they were Murrays, is what their last name was. And so my point is in saying that's how I look at history. But if you're somebody else who's you got to trace your history back, you can't expect someone else to look at their history and ignore it. Does that make sense? You can't expect someone else to go, oh, well, that wasn't my story. My story was X. You know what I mean? And so if you had slavery in your ancestry, you're going to go back to that story, and you should.
Right.
And nobody should force you to change that. You know what I mean? That's just not fair. If you're someone who came, over from Mexico or some other, place in the world, and whether you came here legally or illegally, you're going to have a story. This is how we ended up here, or if your family were Irish or they were Italian or somewhere from Asia, and all those stories, everybody's got a story of how they ended up here. And so you just can't change that history, and we shouldn't try to make somebody do that. My point in saying that is everybody can be sensitive to everybody else. They're not going to view America the same. And that's okay, because they don't have the same experience. But we find ourselves here now, and the point of this song was, in this colorful place with all this beauty on display, in this colorful place we chase our dreams and we choose our faith. In this colorful place we call America. We have these things in common that we can rally around, and we can say, okay, there is a lot of beauty here. There are a lot of beautiful things that we get in this country because it is not monoculture. It is a mixture of all these beautiful things. But where would we be without African music, right? Okay, where would we be without music from Europe and symphony type music? I mean, where would we be without Latin styles, right? Where would we be without Asian styles? I mean, there's so many beautiful things just in music that come from all of these different places. Where would we be without dance, without technology, with all the things that we get from different contributors? So it's beautiful, and it's something that can be celebrated. And in the humanity of everybody, when it all comes down to it, again, is that I'm not a scientist, but I studied a little bit the idea of how we ended up with all these different skin tones and all this stuff, and it has very much to do with how genes were isolated and what those genes did, through just, procreation, and how that groups became what they are today. But, it all, in my view, we all come back to two parents, and then those parents are how we are all related in this family. So as Americans, to kind of circle it back here, and try to put a bow on the conversation, is that we find ourselves in this country. We all got here from different means. Some got here voluntarily, some didn't. Some came, because they wanted to get a better life. Almost everybody did. And why would you come here to get a better life? Well, you have opportunity here. There's a lot of things that you can do that maybe you can't do somewhere else, And we as a country can continue to build on that. We can continue to ensure these freedoms, continue to ensure that we are a place. There's a lyric in the bridge that says, "We're becoming the road our children will walk upon, and our differences make it beautiful." Now it's all up to us to build a road of love and trust that's beautiful. A force for good that's beautiful. And if we could do one thing, and that is as a country, is to respect one another. If you don't believe what I do, and I don't believe what you do, that's okay. We can debate it. We can talk about it. We can share it respectfully. Uh, but in the end, we have to love each other and walk side by
Yeah.
side with each other and care for one another, regardless if we can agree on those things, because it's good for society. It's good for us.
Yeah.
And so, celebrating all of our differences, celebrating all of our uniquenesses and all the things we bring to the table is what this song is about. Celebrating the freedoms that we have and the new life that you can get in this country if you come here, or if you're here and you want to start from scratch and have nothing and build something. It's possible, you know.
Mm.
And I just think about, you have people that started out with nothing, but they believed they could become something. So that's why they worked hard. If you don't believe you've got an opportunity in a place, you're not going to put all the work in to do it, right? You're
Mhm.
just going to say, there's no hope here. Why should I even try? But people in this country can go from nothing to something, regardless of ethnicity or anything else, just because they know there's an opportunity here. And if I pay the price and I work hard, I can get there. And I think, all the freedoms we have, that makes that possible as well. So, you know, obviously there's lots of reforms, there's a lot of things we can do to continue and to work
Sure.
to get better, but I think ultimately that's what this song is a celebration of life, and I do believe that God made every person and every person has value. And if there's
Mhm.
one thing that we can land on as people is that you have value. I may not agree with you, we may not see things the same, but God says you have value, and He created your
Yeah.
ethnicities. He created the way you look. He created your uniqueness.
Mhm.
And if He says it's good, I say it's good, and I want to line up with that and enjoy people. So, those are kind of my thoughts a bit on this. And you know, as far as from your perspective here, and we'll close up here in a few minutes because we're probably at our limit, but. Um, from your mom's perspective, she ended up here. Do you still have family back in back there that you all communicate with in the Congo?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Um,
Okay.
yeah, we have my mom has some siblings
Okay.
that she stays in touch with very
All right. And
frequently.
what would
Mhm.
her take be on coming to America? How does she feel about this place? I know you can't really speak for her, but
Yeah.
if you would add 2 cents about what
Sure.
she
Well,
thinks.
I know she loves it here. And that's the positive side of what I was talking about with getting an outside looking in kind of thing is like, yeah,
Yeah.
like my mom, especially, so we were, like I was saying, there was a civil war in Congo, right when I was born that lasted for around like 18 months. And so my mom was a refugee at that time.
Hmm.
And this is someone at that point, she had a PhD, she's very well educated, she'd gone to
Wow.
school in Paris, she'd gone to school in America, and here she is, finds herself just, living in the forest with her family, just trying to survive. And so for her, it's like, I mean, it didn't stop me from complaining all the time growing up, but
Sure.
for
Sure.
her,
Sure.
there's like, that puts things so much in perspective,
Hmm.
in terms of just like you're saying, and one of the things that's beautiful about the song and celebration, just like in terms of opportunities, regardless of things that people might have to jump through or whatnot, it's still, there are so many situations all over the world where it's just hard, and it's not even, you don't even get to the option of what you would like to do because
Hmm.
either you don't have a choice or
Yeah.
you don't have access, all this kind of stuff.
Access is huge.
And so for her, I think it's been very important to always, as I was growing up, always kind of do her best to put that in perspective for me. I think obviously I didn't quite care as much or really get it as I was younger, Um, but even yeah, growing up, I'm here. I'm 25 now, and I have two kids, and just even thinking about the juxtaposition of raising kids here in America versus raising kids back in Congo, it's
Mm.
and it's not like Congo's like a horrible place or something, and like everyone's poor or something like that,
No.
but just in terms of just the blessings,
Yeah.
the simple blessings that are here. It's really something that I think her story as a testimony can kind of just and reminds me, and reminds people of just really appreciate what you have, and even more so, like love on people, like you're saying, love on people
Hmm.
that don't have, and it doesn't have to be, because we have family back in Africa. Of course, we will assist them
Hmm.
however we
Hmm.
can. I know that's something that my parents do. Um, but even it doesn't have to be limited to just that. It's about seeing that there's people around you in your daily life that may not have as much as you, and it doesn't mean you're just giving away all your belongings or anything, but
Right.
it's again, it's about loving people, about respecting them, about just asking how you can help. Those are all things, and I think that's one thing too. That I wish would be more kind of, um, I don't know, more kind of the norm. And it varies, I think, obviously from like in different places around
Hmm.
America. But like you're saying, since there are so many opportunities here, I think there can also kind of get that mentality of like, in order to get ahead, I need to like push somebody else down kind of thing.
Sure.
Um, and I understand that mentality just because of what we're kind of exposed to on a daily basis of all of these ideals that people try to strive for. But really, when you look at where people are and have that base starting point already kind of be like, this is just success,
Mm,
I think
yeah.
it really changes your perspective, and it allows you to be merciful and compassionate to others whenever you're realizing like, just hey, just being able to like, and because there's so many people in America that don't, being able to be like, I have a roof over my head, I have food, I'm able to start getting an education, all of a sudden you can go through those processes looking at other people not as rivals that are coming to take things away, but as people to continue to build with. And because I think
Mm.
I think
Ooh, I
focusing on
love that.
those kind of,
Woo, that
um
gets me
that kind
excited.
of, I think, because it's like you think about how, even America gets to where it is today. It's camaraderie, it's unity, it's working together, and like you're saying,
Mm,
it's all of these different people from different backgrounds bringing different experiences and different skills and stuff, and it's still happening today, and especially how interconnected the world is at this point. I
it's
just think
amazing.
that a lot of people, I think,
Woo.
probably don't realize how much collaboration goes into what is right now, or how much collaboration has gone into what is. They just kind of assume it's like, well, you know
Oh,
we did it by ourselves, like we were American and
oh
we just kind
man.
of did it. And like you're saying, it's like we have so many influences, like even if we're just sticking to the realm of music, it's like
Yeah.
you don't get your blues music without just simple like
Yeah.
African music or island music or all that kind of stuff. So I think kind of, yeah, to kind of put a button on it, I think it's a lot like we've been saying this whole time about focusing on the collaboration and also kind of rejoicing and being aware of, just the blessings that are here. And that
Amen.
doesn't mean everyone's equal in terms of all that they have, but it's a great place to
Yeah, it
be.
is. It is. And I want to jump in there and I'll close out with this. I'll say this because if you just drive across America, like I spent a ton of time in the car in my lifetime traveling and doing things and driving, and it amazes me that I can get in a car and drive anywhere in this country, and there's thousands and thousands of bridges that I have to cross to go places, and
Hmm.
just the sheer amount of road everywhere and how hard it was to make road all over the country to get over rivers and go through mountains and stuff. Just that blessing alone is amazing to me.
Yeah.
And you think about the farmland, the heart of America, all those farmers that are working so hard so that we
Hmm.
can have all of this stuff, that we have. We have abundance of meat, we have abundance of vegetables. You go out to California and the amazing vegetables and fruits they have out there, and then, Florida and all those things, and how blessed we are. You go to the store and it's just there. I don't even have to think. Okay, there's lettuce every time I show up. You go to these other places in the world, it's not so much like that. But that's you know it just is. It's just amazing what we have, and the blessings that we have. And so, we've got so many people across a diverse group of people that are working to ensure that, and that are
Yeah.
making a living doing these things, which you got to have a stable economy, you got to have a stable country. You can't be fighting each other and warring and, doing all the things that you do, because it just does nothing for anybody. It just destroys any opportunities that we all have. So that's why it's better for us, we the people, to learn to love one another, to
Yeah.
appreciate each other, to go, wow, I love you and what you do. I don't understand farming, or I don't understand what it's like to be, whatever, from this place or that place, or to be, you know, um, that background. But man, I'd love to work with you and build together this place. That's what it's all about, is building together a place where we have better opportunity for all of us. So with that being said, I want to close this out, and this has been such a great talk and just a really good, influential, just time for me to kind of think more about this song and how it's impacting me. And I just want to say I'm grateful how you were brought into this. Someone with a unique perspective that I think a lot of people need to hear. Coming from the outside looking in and being kind of caught in the middle here, because again, history is different. Everybody's history is different. So
Yeah.
if I take something away from this, is that, let's be sensitive to each other's history in this country. Let's learn how to live in the moment, though. Today, we're not in the place that we were all those years
Hmm.
ago. We're in a much better place, a different place. Let's continue to build on that. Let's continue
Yeah.
to improve it. And let's continue to be sensitive, learn from each other's stories, and take the value that each one of us has and use that, put it in the pot so that things continue to get better and to grow. And hey, let's go out and eat this amazing food and celebrate each other, and all these blessings
Yeah.
that we get, these dances that we get to learn, and all these things, which are just amazing. So, it is indeed a colorful place, and you made the song that much better by singing on it. And I want to say thank you. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I want to say thank you to the people that have watched this. You've stayed this whole time, and we've been a long discussion, but it's been a fun discussion. And I just want to say thank you. We're trying to build something here with this channel that's going to make a difference all across this country. We want to take the gifts and talents that we have of music and just all the experiences and things, and we want to be a part of what is going to keep this country a free place, a place where we love one another and where we grow and build together. And we get people help that need help out there, and we help those that are helping, because it's hard work to help others. We want to support them. So come along on this journey with us, and be a part of what Love in America is about and what we're doing. And this is lastly not about us. It's largely about the people that are doing the work. And we're going to bring you stories in the next group of songs of all the people that are doing things in the various things that are troubling America, and how they're working to make those things better. So if you get with us and you're part of what what you're doing is helping us to essentially market for them, to help people know about what they're doing, so that they can get the help and our cities can become better places because the people living in them are getting help. So with that being said, thanks again, David. Awesome time. Really appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And until we see you in the next video, go love somebody in America. Blessings, everybody.